Warszawian by origin, Polish by heart, citizen of the world by talent. He lived a short but bright life and died at the height of his fame. His contemporaries called him the soul of piano. The name of this famous composer and pianist is Frederic Chopin. He was born on March 1, 1810, at a place not far from Warsaw. His mother was from a family of Polish noblemen, and his father was a French immigrant, a tutor, and a schoolteacher. Sounds of violin, flute, and piano could often be heard in their home, and the child who could not speak yet started crying hearing them. His parents thought that music irritated their son, but it appeared that the baby burst into tears because of strong impressions. When Frederic was 5, he could play simple pieces on piano, and when he was 6 years old, a well-known musician, Wojciech Zipny, started to teach him. The first performance of the 7-year-old pianist was in Warsaw. After this, the boy was often invited to salons of Polish noblemen. They gently called him the little Chopinik and compared with Mozart. By the age of 12, the young virtuoso was second to none of the best Polish pianists. Technical difficulties did not exist for him anymore. Having long fingers from birth, the boy invented a special device to make them still longer. In spite of the sharp pain, the young pianist never took it off, even at night. The result was that Chopin could span 1.5 octaves, while other pianists could span only 1. In addition to music, Frederic spoke French and German fluently, knew the history of Poland, read a lot. The youth was remarkable for his wittiness and intellectual curiosity. He painted very well, especially caricatures. And his mimic talent was so bright that he could have become an outstanding comic actor. After finishing the High School of Music, Chopin was recognized as the best pianist of Poland. His composing talent had also matured by this time. 2 concertos for piano and orchestra, written by the 19-year-old composer, are still the favorites among the pianists of many countries of the world. In 1830, being 19 years old, Chopin undertook a tour around Europe. He took with him a cup with Polish ground, but it appeared that he had left his homeland forever. On the way, Chopin got to know about the rebellion of Polish patriots against the Russian autocracy. He wanted to come back home, but his family was afraid that he would join the rebels and asked him to stay abroad, convincing him that his weapon was his talent. Chopin went to Paris, where he learned that the rebellion had been suppressed. Political pressure and persecution of Polish culture became stronger in Poland. The composer wrote his most famous revolutionary etude, dedicating it to these tragic events. From the autumn of 1831 until the end of his life, he would live in France. Paris of that time abounded in musicians, virtuosos, but Chopin managed to impress the audience by his extraordinary, inspired performance. He did not like large halls and admitted that crowds scared him. Semi-darkness of small salons, that was an environment where he felt himself in calmness and comfort. However, this could not provide him enough money, and the musician had to give music lessons for 5 hours per day to earn his living. France never became the second motherland for the composer, and Frederic highly valued any opportunity to meet his compatriots. Chopin's popularity made the circle of his friends much broader. Among them were Hungarian musician Franz Liszt, German poet Heine, French composer Bellion, and artist Delacroix. When he was 26, Chopin made acquaintance with the French writer Aurore Duvant, known by her pen name George Sand. Her reputation was scandalous. She smoked a pipe, wore men's clothes, and regularly changed her husbands and lovers. At first, Chopin avoided close relations with her, but the literary talent and the strong character of George Sand had conquered the musician. She became the closest person for him. They lived together for 10 years. Chopin's talent was at its peak then. He was recognized as the best pianist of the world. To take his lessons was considered a great honor, and only elite could enjoy listening him playing piano. He rarely gave concerts, entirely devoting himself to composing music. But his affair with Aurore became really fatal for Frederic. George Sand treated him with arrogance and disregard. The composer's friends considered Aurore a poisonous plant that spoiled his life. Breakup with George Sand, the death of his father, and his favorite pupil led Chopin to mental depression and acute condition of his old lung disease. He did not write almost anything during the last 2 years of his life. Progressive tuberculosis had changed him beyond recognition. Frederic Chopin died on October 17, 1849. He was only 39 years old. At the pianist's funeral, the best musicians performed his compositions, along with Mozart's Requiem. Frederic Chopin was buried in Paris. According to the will of Chopin, his heart was delivered in the vessel with spirit to his homeland, Warsaw, to the Holy Cross Church. Chopin gave his last concert in London 1 year before his death in favor of his compatriots, Polish immigrants. The musician who was called the Polish Mozart by his contemporaries became the embodiment of the creative genius of the whole Polish nation.